So, thank you so much for joining the Empowered Hour. This is a 1 hour lunch and learn that I strive to do once a quarter, free of charge, and it will range a variety of topics. So, for example, the last topic that I did was around emotional intelligence. With this being the end of the year, I started thinking about strategic planning. In my day job, I do quite a bit of strategic planning work for organizations, but I've been able to also take that kind of strategic planning thought process and methodology and apply it, of course, to our daily lives. And so what we're going to walk through today is insight regarding strategic planning for life. A little bit about myself. I am the owner and proprietor of Life Empower Consulting Services. I've been in school on and off since high school, and I'm actually still in school literally today. I carry a bachelor's of arts in business communication and management. I have an MBA with a focus in management as well as finance. And then I am also currently pursuing my doctorate degree in strategic leadership. I am a life learner or a glutton for punishment. It depends on how, you define all of that. But with that said, I also am a wife of well over 30 years, a mother of two children. I have 12 godchildren. And you can kind of see I've worked in both many corporate environments before I started Life Empowered. But my focus areas really is corporate education, strategic planning, executive coaching, and then OD work. So those are the places that I spend a lot of time. And so now for today, though, we are talking about the strategic planning for life. And we have three main objectives that we're going to walk through. First of all, we're going to do a period of reflection. Then we're going to talk about reorganizing, and then we're going to move into the relaunch. And so, the reason why we want to do this, and the reason why I wanted to do this, is to walk us through where we've been, where we are, where we want to go, and then some tips, some strategies on how to get there. So, with that said, I am going to ask that I hope you have something to write with, some paper, because this is actually pretty hands on as well. Let's begin with the reflection. So, you grabbed your paper, your writing utensils. A fun thing about me, a fun fact is I love a good acronym. And so, in our reflection, what I want to talk about is two things. The first thing is what you possess as an individual. And so, I want to take a couple of minutes. I'm going to ask you to pause and think about what you have. And what does that mean? That means what are your behaviors? What are these internal things that you take with you everywhere you go? What is your expertise? What is your skill set? What is your talent? And so when we talk about, you see the acronym there, BEST, this is what I want us to dive into. So think about your behaviors in terms of what you have. Are you confident? Are you persistent? Are you proactive? What would you say? What are three adjectives that you would assign to yourself? I want you to jot those down. And so once you get those down, we're going to do threes for all of these. Now, I want you to think about three things that you know that you are really good at. And this is for your life in its totality. So you might say, I'm a great father, or I am a great cook, or I'm a great husband. Whatever those three things that come to mind for you immediately, go ahead and jot those down. This is very intentional on purpose. So now we've talked about your behaviors, how you're showing up. We've talked about what you're really good at in terms of your expertise. Now let's talk about three things that you know how to do, right? So something that you've learned how to do through teaching. Maybe you've learned how to change tires. You're not the expert in it, but you know how to do it. Let's talk about those three things. And then we're going to do the same thing for talent. And the talent is based on really what your natural ability is. So you might have a natural knack to communicate, or you might have a natural knack to problem solve, whatever those three things are that you feel like you possess in terms of a natural inherent talent that you have. I want for you to jot those down as well. The reason why I go through this specific thing is, and we're going to go another section with actually the same acronym, but we go through this section because we don't, to your point, think about what we bring to the table. We don't think about our own skill sets. We don't think about all the time how we're showing up. We're usually thinking very, very externally. And so this kind of forces us to think about, you know what, independent of everything else, I am really good at this, or independent of everything else, I may not want to cook every day, but I can cook. It's a skill. I can make sure I eat. You know what I mean? And
Right.
so when we think about each of these things, and that's why I broke it out in these specific areas, because we can be an expert at something, we can be capable of something, which is the skill, and then we might have a natural inkling. And they really could all be completely different things. Understanding that, but also realizing and recognizing for yourself what you in fact possess is very, very essential to our what's next. Those two skills that you talked about right there is patience and trust. You need that everywhere, right? If you're thinking about career pathing and moving to the next level, if you're moving to the next level in management, you're going to have direct reports, something like that. They're going to need to be able to trust you.
Yeah.
Even if you are remaining a individual contributor, once you reviewed, the paperwork or the documents, you've placed your comments on it, you've forwarded on, whoever the next person is that gets it, they're relying on, right, your feedback to help
Mm.
guide and make decisions. So that trust is critical. And then the patience, I think, is especially critical because, the one thing about being patient is, well, we often express being patient with others, but this is also something that we need to increase ourselves, and just being patient with ourselves as we're learning new skills, as we are becoming an expert. And so the last thing that I want to say around this is, just because we don't have it all, especially in workplace, especially in parenting, it doesn't mean we're not good at it. It just means that there's still more to learn. And, parenting, how you may manage the baby at 1 is completely
Mhm.
different at 8.
Right.
But you show up and you're present and you're doing the best that you can do. So you
Yeah.
might can say, "Hey, I'm good at this. I'm knocking this dad thing out." And
True.
so but those are the internal things. And now I want us to take a moment and look outside of us, this external. And so then this is where we're thinking about over the last year. We want to talk about what you have accomplished. Maybe you bought a new house, or maybe you learned something, or maybe you started a new health regimen, or maybe you just tried new foods. But this is a time to take a moment and think about what you have accomplished, and you want to make a list of those things. You can do 3 of each if you want, but these are just kind of those action words to get you started thinking about, what you've done. And you want to go ahead and think about it and write it down. I wanted to share this with you. I started this whole activity because before I started Life Empowered, when I lost my job, I found myself in a very, I will just say, as a believer, we're taught not to be depressed, but I found myself in a very dark place. And the reason why I ended up there is because I had found myself defining me according to all of these external things, right? I had the husband, we had both of us working for very prominent organizations.
Mm.
The kids are doing relatively well. We built a house from the ground up. So, all of the things that you think will contribute to the American dream, right? And you
Mhm.
have that dream coming to fruition. And then you walk into the office and they say, "Thank you so much, but your services are no longer needed." It took me for a loop. And so I had to re anchor myself in who I was. And I had to re anchor myself not only in that, but independent of my husband, independent of the kids, independent of anything, the company that I worked for. Who was I? And so that's why I kind of take us all through this, because this helps anchor us in who we are, what our strengths are, what we bring to any table that we walk to, whether they know it or not, possess it. And we want to make sure that we acknowledge that. And not only that, but this is also an opportunity for you to write down and acknowledge all of your accomplishments. And so, from the work perspective, I'm sure you've done tons of great things this year. That
Mhm.
might be a list in and of itself. But then but then personally, have you been able to intentionally create vacation time, prayer time as a recommitment? Making sure that you're making all of your son's games, or 80% of them, whatever your metric is. um,
Mhm.
these are the things that you've accomplished, and you want to actually take a moment to celebrate that as well, which really just brings me to our next slide, because this is the moment in which I want to celebrate you. And this is particularly important too for men, because generally that's what you're supposed to do. That's your job for
Mhm.
men. But the fact of the matter is that even as a man, you're human, and you should be recognized and celebrated and acknowledged for all of the things that you're doing. And so I wanted to just intentionally take a moment and acknowledge you and celebrate you for everything that you've done, even if you haven't
Thank you.
celebrated yourself, but you deserve an applause. So here we go.
Yeah,
Here's your
appreciate
round of applause.
it. Thank you, thank you.
So,
I
and this is
appreciate it.
also important because understanding how far you've come, this is essential to the momentum that you're going to need to continue to propel yourself for what's next.
Mhm.
And so, while we pause here and celebrate here, I want you to take all of that energy, all of those accomplishments, and I want you to ball it up, because now you know that you've done all of that. So, whatever's next, you can do that too. And
Right.
so, being able to celebrate, it boosts your mental and emotional health. It, of course, improves your self confidence as well as your motivation. And so here we are getting ready for the next thing, right?
Mhm. Right.
And what is the next thing? It is the reorganizing. So now, what I'd like for you to do is just take a few moments and think about what's next for you. You talked about the promotion at work, but what
Mhm.
else? And so let's think about your what's next. Is it nourishing? Does it feed you and others? Is it exciting? Is it
Mhm.
expansive? Is it going to grow you? Is it going to grow your vision? Is it going to grow the other things that you want to accomplish? And is it transformative? These are the things that I want you to think about when we think about your what's next. So let's pause for a moment. Go ahead and do a quick brain dump of the things that is next for you. And think about it in terms of like the next year and a half, your next 18 months. We'll put a little bit of time around it. And so when we think about your list of things, if you were going to kind of do that brainstorm and you go through the list, you're going to say, are these things nourishing? How are they nourishing? How are they exciting? How are they expansive? How can I build upon them? And then how are they transformative and from a internal perspective? And then will it also feed others? And so as a leader, you're not only concerned about just how you're learning and growing, but now you have to be taking what you know and developing others as a coach that you talked about a little bit. So the things that they do that, are they doing that, is the question that you want to ask yourself. And then once you get that list down, we're going to jump right into here. You've probably heard of this Eisenhower matrix for life, right? We want to know what those things are, and we want to throw them on a list, and you
Mhm.
put them in their respective quadrants. And this is important because you might have something that's urgent and important, and you want to get that right away. So, right at the
Mhm.
top of the year, we're going to get it done. But if it's not urgent and not important, we can throw that down. We're going to do that the last quarter of the year. And this does two things. This allows us to kind of break up our time so that we don't feel overwhelmed trying to do, all 100 things at
Mhm.
once. And
Right.
so this gives us a way to kind of space it out and navigate it from that way. The other thing that this does is that it helps you decide how we're going to handle it. And so when I think about that time matrix, after a quarter, depending on what we're talking about, and so I'll just use me for an example where I said I wanted to write a book. Well, if I haven't touched that book in 3 months, the question is, do I really want to write a book? Or do I want to just defer it to later on? And so when you get that list down and we've kind of done that next test, now we can figure out what our actions are. Are we going to do it? Are we going to delete it? Not at all. Are we going to delegate it? Is this something that someone else can do? Or are we going to defer it and just do it later? And so being able to leverage that matrix helps you decide how you're going to handle each of those items. And so this is kind of the strategy that I would suggest for, life. For our life, our commitment is to go on 4 trips a year. And so for me, it's like, let's space it out per quarter. So that way I don't feel overwhelmed that I've gotten to December and we've not done anything. And so I make it a point of, where are we going now? Maybe it's just a weekend. We know it's a really busy time, but creating that intent around it is what is really necessary. Once you have your list, you have all of your things, you've decided what you're going to do, and you've decided when you're going to do, this is when we now start to talk about that relaunch. And I love this particular image because it doesn't matter how we do it. It's just important that we do it, right? So I love this because it's got the fly fishing in the middle here. It's got the rocket ship that's going to fly up, and then it has the hot air balloon. Each of these move at very different paces, but the key is that it moves. And so our goal as we are relaunching is just to move. Now, one of the things I love John Maxwell, and I am actually a part of his camp. And one of the things that he has is a book called Put Your Dreams to the Test. And so I think about this in specific because as we are taking action, another one of the things that we have to consider when we are planning for the strategy for, the next year or whatever, is it ours, right? And so I will use your career, for example. It is your career. It is your dream to thrive and be successful in this organization at this time. Is that your dream or is that somebody else's dream? Do you love this or does somebody else love it for you? And so this again takes us back to that, really understanding who you are. And so these are just questions to help you kind of think about that a little bit more, beginning with the end in mind. What's a small activity that you can do that will increase? And so starting at whatever level, right? You can be the hot air balloon, you can be the fly fishing, or you can be the rocket ship, whichever one it is. But what is the action that you're willing to take? So the very first thing that we have to do, big or small, as we are relaunching is take action. That's the very first thing that we want to do is we want to take action. And I'll tell you, some things you don't even understand how to handle until you run into them. And so taking action is essential because one, it starts our progress. It keeps that momentum going. And so it begins, again, this new level of progress with that momentum of what you've accomplished behind you. The second thing that it does is it gives you empowerment. And so you talked about intentionality. When you are proactive, that means that you are intentionally going after the things. You're not waiting for them to just come to you. Intentionally putting the date nights on your calendar, intentionally going after these new positions, intentionally growing and developing yourself. That is strengthening who you are as an individual. And then overcoming the challenges. Because you've started all of these other things, you have that momentum flowing. And so now when things are coming your way, the challenges, they might slow you down, but you have too much momentum behind you to stop you. So you're going to just keep going. So taking this action will help you build that momentum and continue to go. And that just really, really makes me happy. So again, the first of 3 things as we are relaunching is to take action. The second thing is that you want to pull in your resources. I am a stickler for who's in your space, who's your accountability partner, how can people around you help you grow, In my very, very first book, it's called Looking Back, Then Moving Forward. That very first book that I wrote, I actually, it might be in, I apologize, now I have to find which book it's in, but I talk about who's in your circle. And I talk about three types of people: people that are called to you, people that are committed to you, and people that are complementary to you. And this is important because the person that is committed to you, this is the person that's going to be with you, good, bad, or indifferent. If you're walking dogs, they're with you. If you are a gazillionaire, they're with you. They are loyal to you, right? The people that are called to you are the people that are those who have their purpose is aligned with your purpose, meaning that part of who they are is to help you get to your next level. And so when I think about that person that's called to you, I think about a mentor, or I think about a pastor, or I think about some sort of leader that really their vested interest is seeing you become a better person. And then there's the person that is complementary to you. That person is the person that wins because you win. And so if you think about, for example, if you're putting an event together and you're the star of the show, the person that's running the sound, they're only associated with you because there's going to be a benefit to them specifically. So they're really more connected to the thing that you're doing rather than to you. And so when we talk about your resources, you have to understand the people that you have around you that are helping you and their whys, because that way you don't get upset that the person that's only, they're working your sound because you're on the stage, but now you wanted them to be your BFF and it didn't work like that. And now there's this conflict. And so you want to just take a minute, identify your resources and pull them in. How can you buy back your time? How can you maximize your time? How can your family assist? Where are your accountability partners? And that's personally as well as professionally. Find your resources. So that's the second thing that you have to do. The first one, take action. The second thing, pull in your resources. And then the third thing and the last thing is to practice resiliency. I wish this life was a straight line and it would just always go up and up and up. That is not the reality. And so we have to be able to absorb change while maintaining a high level of performance and displaying minimal dysfunctional behavior. I love this definition specifically because basically it's our ability to recover quickly. As you are moving forward, as you are setting new goals, as you are building this plan and trying to actually now execute the plan, there are going to be bumps in the road, and that's just the reality, right? But what you have to do, this third thing in terms of this relaunch, is practice resiliency. Just think about bouncing back. And I often say, don't even bounce back, bounce forward. So if you think about a bouncy ball, I don't have one here in my office here, but you think about a bouncy ball when you hit it down hard, like you went below where you were, but you move up even higher. And so think about, as you are bouncing, even if you have to bounce downwards for a minute, you're going to come up higher and further than where you were before. And so those are the three things as we talk about this relaunch. You want to take action, you want to pull in your resources, and you want to practice resiliency. What do you think about that? If you think about something being completely balanced, it's not moving. It's stagnant. If you think about a heart monitor and it's doing this, if it's balanced, somebody's dead. There is no, so we have to remember that in life, there's going to be the ebbs and the flows. So the goal is just that it doesn't ebb too far or flow, too low, and we just keep it moving. And that communication with those that are around you, your support system, that's going to help you navigate that. And then you also have to remember that nourishment in your what's next, it has to be for you as much as it is for other people. And that is our time. I thank you for taking this hour with me. I thank you for spending the time with me. I hope something was shared with you that you can kind of leverage, pass it forward as well. And I'm looking forward to seeing what's next for you.
Thank you.